Welcome to Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo, coming to you from the New Alliance Music and Art Complex in beautiful Union Square in Somerville. If people don't know this from other areas, Somerville used to be referred to as Slummerville, but no more. It's a really beautiful town now. We'd like to welcome back to the show, Diya.
Thank you. It's nice to be here again, Steve.
How are you?
I'm doing all right today. How are you?
Good. You know, we're getting a fantastic response on the online dating episode that we did a few shows back. And one thing that I noticed that blew my mind was 92% of our audience is now in the U.S. And you'd be like, what's so cool about that? Not long ago it was 98%. So that means 8% of our audience is from other countries.
Woohoo!
So
Thanks,
I'm going to have to say that Diya is why we are now we have a big international audience, because India is one of the countries that's on the list.
That's
yes.
amazing.
And Dorchester is one of the countries too. Oh wait, they're in Massachusetts.
Dorchester?
Forget it. It's a joke.
Steve.
All right, so today we're going to talk about rock venues, whether they be bars or nightclubs or dive bars or whatever you want to call them. And I'm going to start it off with, I compiled a list of some of the clubs / shows that I've seen over the years. I guess you'd say these are some of the highlights, and I figured that would be a good way to start it. And the first one I'm going to talk about is probably one of the more famous bands that I saw in the club. The first time I saw Poison at the Troubadour in West Hollywood, these girls in my office at Enigma Records, Debbie and Jennifer, they started putting Poison flyers all over the office, right? And I'd see them, and I'm like, who are those guys with the makeup on? I literally made fun of them. 23-year-old Steev was making fun of Poison posters. They kept bugging me, you got to come see this band. You got to come see this band. So finally I said, okay, I'm coming on Saturday night, and they were so happy. So I went alone to the club, and I pull up, and I see a line all the way down in West Hollywood. I can't remember the road, but all the way down the road, there's a line of girls, like all girls. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I was like excited now. And of course I'm on the guest list because they got me on the guest list. So I just walked right by all the girls, smiling, grinning with my long, beautiful hair that I used to have. And I went in and I waited for the club to fill up. And I realized that 90% of the people there were women. And there were like 10 guys. And I was like, oh, wow. So then the music comes on, the intro music, and then the lights go on and Poison takes the stage, not with C.C. DeVille. This is with the original lead guitar player, Matt Smith, who left the band. And he left the band actually because his girlfriend got pregnant and he moved back to Pennsylvania. Nice. I don't know if you know that, Dia, but that's pretty... Some people know that, some people don't. Yeah. And the place was explosive, and I thought 4 or 5-year-old, 4, 3-year-old, whatever I was, Steve sitting in front of the black and white TV watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. I'm like, it's the Beatles all over again. And, you know, long story short, we ended up signing them to Enigma Records, cool. But that's one of my most memorable club things. At the same club, the Troubadour, I did see Sheryl Crow. And it place only holds 200. So that's what makes it a cool place to see bands. It's kind of famous because John Lennon got thrown out of the Troubadour for being too drunk once. So it's a famous room. The night that Sheryl Crow played, it was an industry show. It was all A&M people. And I was standing in front of the stage and she's singing, and all of a sudden I hear a guy's voice. And I look up and Don Henley is standing right in front of me from the Eagles. He did a duet with her that night, which is on the Tuesday Night Garage record. But Troubadour, the second club I wanted to mention was the Whiskey. I saw the Mother Love Bone. I saw Mother Love Bone there. That's on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, famous club. I also remember seeing Bullet LaVolta and Come there. Come is Talia Zedek, which Talia Zedek, if you might remember a few shows back, we had Mel Letterman on. Mel was the piano player for Talia Zedek for many years. Wow. Her old band before that, Come. I saw them there. Club Lingerie, which is also in Hollywood. I saw a great neighborhood show there, their first show in L.A., And I also saw the Del Fuegos there, which had an audience that night that included David Lee Roth, Joe Strummer, and Paul Westerberg from the Replacements, all in the club at the same time. And the funny thing about that is there was only about maybe 50 people there. And 3 of them were like famous rock stars. That was kind of cool. I'm going to go cross country to CBGB's now in New York. Saw many, many great shows there. Giant Records, the label I used to run in New York, we had a showcase there with Dag Nasty, Verbal Assault, Government Issue. That place held about 600. We packed that joint. The Carnivore Christmas show, which I've talked about before on the show, the reindeer brains, when Pete Steele brings reindeer brains out and throws them out in the audience, and there's blood and guts all over the place. Holly Lane and myself are like laughing hysterically. I also saw Living Color there before they were signed, and they were called Vernon Reed's Living Color. They weren't even just Living Color yet. I saw a great benefit there. The Charms played before Brian Jonestown Massacre and after Brian Jonestown Massacre and before Debbie Harry from Blondie. That was pretty cool. We're going to go a little north now to Boston. The Rat. I'm just going to blast through all these great clubs that, you know, in my opinion, great clubs around the country. I saw the Smithereens the first time at the Rat, and we signed them to Enigma. The first time I ever saw the Outlets was there. 3.5 Girls, which were on the Curve of the Earth label, our friend Alvin Long's label. They played the Rat with Roadsaw. Dave Minahan from the Neighborhood sat in with them. Hardcore bands, Honky Ball and Decon, Styrenes were on that bill also. The Ritz in Chicago was a great room. I saw Throwing Muses there. Back in Boston again, the Linwood, which is, I don't even know if it's still there. Is Church still there now? Herb, do you know? It's gone? Herb's gone.
By Fenway, Church is gone.
Church is gone. It used to be called the Linwood. I had some pretty big shows there. The Twisted Rico Class of 98 show. The first time Nashville Pussy ever played in Boston with Zeke was at the Linwood. That was before they ripped the wall down and put a restaurant in there and expanded on it. And then I got a few other venues here. I got the Ritz in New York. I remember one time I saw DOA with Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. I saw Tegan and Sarah at the Marquee in Phoenix. I saw the Dirt Bombs, one of the best live bands in the world, at the Rhythm Room in Phoenix. Tipitina's in New Orleans. Didn't you tell me you like New Orleans? Or
I do. I want to go to New Orleans. I've never been. And, I mean, where should I be going now? You'll have to tell me later. Well,
here's the thing. I don't know when you're going to be able to go down there because right now New Orleans is a hot spot. But let me warn you about one thing if you go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Be prepared to be like, have so much alcohol in your system by the time you leave that you'll have to go to like the hospital for a week after. In fact, I'm going to tell you a funny story. When I was there with Pa, we got so drunk. Oh, I can't tell you what I woke up with in the morning in my room.
Okay.
There was more than one person there. So it was like, it was, but you know, I get to the airport and I'm like still drunk. And you know how you go to the airport and you put your hands under the sink in the water? I'm trying to get water out of all the sinks and everyone else is, but I couldn't. And everyone's looking at me. All these guys are like, what the hell is wrong with you? I swear I must have had alcohol. So much alcohol in my system that I couldn't get the water to work. But Tipitina's in New Orleans, a great room. The Lime Spider in Akron, Ohio, I have on my list here. I was there with the Charms once, and generally, or sometimes if you're lucky, the clubs will give the bands food. And this guy brought out stuffed peppers. That was the band meal. Of course, I was the manager, so I got one. And the Bottleneck in Lawrence, Kansas, another great venue. And then I'm just going to blast through the rest of these. Ralph's in Worcester, the Grotto in New Haven, the Station in Orlando, where I met an ex-girlfriend of mine, Bridget Burton, who, if you're out there listening, Bridget, she's an airline attendant to Southwest. I can't believe I'm going there. You have not answered my last 5 text messages. I know you're mad at me, but I'd like to know that you're doing okay since you're an airline attendant, Bridget Burton. I I had to do that. The Channel in Boston, which is long gone. The 930 Club in D.C., I think they're still around. Maxwell's in Hoboken, New Jersey. The Stone Pony in Asbury Park, New Jersey. The Brighton Bar in Long Branch, New Jersey. The Lager House in Detroit. The 31st Street Pub in Pittsburgh, which I know is closed because it closed while I was there. And just one other club I'm going to mention, the Bug Jar in Rochester, New York. I could go on and on and on and on. We're going to have a talk about clubs and what's going on with them, but first we're going to play a tune. This is a classic one from the Witches. It's called Down on Ugly Street. It's from the album Thriller that came out in 2007. Take it away, Herb.
Such a scary face, honey. It's just furious. Yeah, yeah. Down on ugly street, won't you abduct me? I'm lonely. Down on ugly street, you'd be so beautiful, beautiful yet to meet. 100 million eyes on the last night of paradise, creatively crucified, honey, creatively crucified, yeah, yeah. Down on ugly street, won't you abduct me? I'm lonely. Down on ugly street, you'd be so beautiful, beautiful yet to meet. 90 days in eternity. 90 days in eternity. Oh, it's tough that you can't smile when I can't get enough. Dear tears there to fill my eyes. I chased away everyone. Yeah, yeah. Down on ugly street, won't you abduct me? I'm lonely. Down on ugly street, that's where you'll find me. I'm ugly. I'm ugly. Down on ugly street. Down on ugly street, you'd be so beautiful to me. You'd be beautiful to me. You'd be beautiful to me. Let's go down here to ugly street.
That was the Witches, Down on Ugly Street. That gem was written by Troy Gregory and the one and only Kim Fowley, R.I.P. The Witches were a great Detroit band. Troy Gregory, of course, is a very good friend of mine. We worked together on many projects, and I love Troy. It was his band, but he had a lineup that was incredible. Johnny Nash on guitar, Phil Scarich on bass, the one and only Eugene Strobe on drums, and that was recorded at Ghetto Recorders by Jim Diamond, another legend. Doesn't get much better, it doesn't get much better than that when you're talking about Detroit. I mean, it's like Detroit's one of the great garage rock cities, and the Witches are a staple in the Detroit garage rock scene. So, long before the pandemic started, we started seeing live music venues go down all over America. In fact, when I think about this, some of my favorite rooms, like the Rat that I mentioned, and CBGB's, and TT the Bears, which I didn't mention before that I should have, they're all gone. They're all gone.
So sad.
They were all gone before this new phase of closures. And the reason I brought this we're talking about this today is because the news that broke this week. This is not, in my opinion, one of the great rock clubs, but it is a legendary bar. I'm talking about the Cantab Lounge in Central Square, Cambridge, closed.
That's so sad.
Gone.
That's so sad.
Now, I know you have a connection, but I just wanted to mention before I forget that Mickey Bliss, who booked the room downstairs, Club Bohemian, is a very good friend of mine. And in 2011, I booked all the Thursday nights and the Sundays there. I hadn't booked the club in years, and he asked me if I wanted to do a couple nights, and I did. We had some great shows there. In fact, one that I always talk about was the Cage Teach show when Jay Fortin from Scissor Fight and Dana Cawley from Morphine played with Cage Teach that night. We fit about as many people as you can fit in that downstairs room, which I think is about 120, and that doesn't include the rats. One time I was down there, and there was a rat that was about bigger than both of my cats,
That's
okay?
ridiculous.
And I saw it, and I'm like, there's a rat. And the bartender's like, yeah, whatever. It's like
Central Square for you.
So, Diya, a rumor has it that you've celebrated a few of your birthdays at the Cantab.
Yes, I used to live in Central Square when I first moved to Boston, and luckily, I loved the area. And it wasn't quite as clean as it is now, even like this was at least a decade ago. And I just landed in like Cantab because I liked the music, and it was a pretty day, and we just landed there, and it was awesome. A bunch of my friends went in. The music was really cool, and that's what kept us there. We were young for that space, but it didn't really matter. Like the music was just so good.
So you were
So
upstairs.
We were upstairs.
Yeah,
we were
Little
upstairs
Cook
at the bar.
probably or someone like that was
Yeah.
playing. They had some good regulars over there. I used to just go downstairs whenever I went in there to go to Club Bohemia. There was one thing that struck me. You said that Central Square was clean.
I think it's clean. I mean, I think it's cleaned up even since I've lived there.
Yeah, it has.
Like,
I'm joking.
I mean, it's not particularly clean, but like, I think it's different than it used to be. It's gentrified.
Can you still see rats in the subway station? I mean,
Of course.
You'd be standing there on the ramp, and there'd be rats running all over the tracks down there.
It's a hidden secret. Like there are rats in this city. It's a hidden secret, but it exists. We all just kind of.
I don't know how hidden that is.
Well,
Chili Kurtz used to live down in
don't
Inman.
talk about it.
Chili Kurtz lived in Inman Square, and twice she started her car up, and a rat broke her whatever the belts are. I'm not much of a mechanic.
The tuning
Twice it
belts.
happened. Twice.
That's ridiculous.
So they're around.
Yeah, they're
I just-
sizable. Also,
I just want to mention here that I'm drinking an iced tea from the Diesel Cafe in Davis Square. Everything's a square in Boston. Did you find that everything was a square when you moved here?
yes. And the smaller squares nobody knows the names of, but it's a square, so you kind of have to know the name if for reference sake.
Yeah, we had a show sponsored by the Black Horse Pub
Yeah.
in Magoon Square, and I'm like, Magoon Square
Is
in
that what it's
Somerville?
called?
I'm like, where the heck is Magoon Square?
Right.
I never heard of it.
Right.
But anyways, Diesel has the best iced tea, and they always give me extra lemons. Even during the pandemic, the girl behind the window remembers me, and she gives me a whole cup of lemons. And if you're out there listening, Jess Brazil, I want you guys to sponsor my show so bad. And Diya told me the only way I'll ever get you to sponsor this show is to ask. So
Right.
I'm doing it publicly, and I will also do it privately, I promise.
And just so you know, Steve drinks one of those every day. Like every day.
Every single day of my life.
Yeah.
For the people watching on YouTube,
Every day.
To your
He's
health.
very particular. He made me walk around the other day, like looking for iced tea, and it had to be just right. So, Diesel, you're doing it right.
yeah, can we mention what town that was we were walking around in?
We can mention.
It's like the whitest town in friggin' Massachusetts, Needham, Massachusetts. I mean, I'm telling you, you
Oh
could
my
say that about a
God.
few towns in
Yeah,
Mass, but
in Mass.
Needham, it's like, I felt like I was in the, in the weird neighborhood because I'm dark, I was like, what the hell is this?
Well, it's got 20% of other.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't
it's a
see
large
any
amount.
of the others.
That's the problem with this town. We can talk about that. I can take up a whole
Yeah, I
show
know. We
talking
were
about that.
supposed to be talking
we're
about
not-
clubs, and now
Yeah,
we're talking about Needham.
Yeah.
We're on the Central Square thing, and I didn't mention TTs before, but I'll mention now that they were really good to me. the people that ran the place, and Randy Millman, who was the booking agent. I did about 4 benefits for Kitty Angels, the no-kill cat shelter there. And the Charms, who I managed, played like, I think, just about every one of their CD release shows there. When they closed, I knew that we were in trouble.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You know, there's other bars that are closed around town, too, like Great Scott's closed,
Yep.
and All Asia. Yeah, others. But
All Asia closed? That's really
imagine
bad also.
if the rumor about the Middle East is true
Oh.
and they close, Central Square's
It's done.
finito.
It's done. Completely done. Like, and that's, I mean, the dance complex closed in there too. So, like, it's Central Square, like that, what it used to be, it was such an arts gathering.
You know, I was
that
living.
just doesn't exist.
I was
anymore.
living in
I don't know where to
Pittsburgh.
go for that in the
I was
city.
in Pittsburgh for like 5 years, and I came home and I went to the Middle East, and there's like a 15-foot building across the street. I'm like, where the hell did that building come from? It was not there. So I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it more like, I don't know what they're trying to make.
The charm is gone.
You know, oh man.
Go ahead. Herb wants
do
to
it.
get on the
know
mic.
what?
He's going for 4 weeks straight. Go for it, Herb.
Central Square used to be such a beautiful spot, dude. Back when the Out of the Blue Gallery was right
Yeah.
there on Mass
Out
Ave.
of the
You
Blue.
had EMF building right down the street,
down the
dude.
street.
You had like the Middle East. You had like so many good venues
All
there,
Asia.
dude. And then they call it they dare call it a what is it, the art district, dude? These fucking assholes are full of shit, dude. They killed the art district in Central Square when it was like 90% art, and then they have the balls to call it that now, dude. First, oh my god, I could go on like losing the EMF building was like the was like. Oh my god! It was like it was awful. It was
I
like
know.
the worst thing that ever happened there, dude.
Herb's talking about the space that used to hold everything that we're in.
Alliance,
New
right.
Alliance Studios, Nick Zampiello's mastering, all these offices. This podcast room was over there. It was all over there. And then, you know, they're cleaning that. It's too bad because, you know, Cambridge is supposed to be, you know, quote unquote, one of the most liberal places in America. And, you know, voting wise, they are. But, you know, you kill the arts and you're out for trouble. And it was great to see Herb get all fired up. I wish that was on video.
I know.
His veins were popping out of his head. And I was like thinking, oh my God, he's going to go completely ballistic and rip the whole room
It
apart.
hits close to home, dude.
I understand.
Yeah.
It was.
We're all artists here, man.
Yeah.
We get it, dude. I understand your anger. So, you know, Diya, where are we going to go from here? I mean, it's like, where are we going to go? I mean, we're a bit, okay, we don't even know when there's going to be live shows anymore. I heard there's some acoustic things happening. Someone told me their bands are playing in drive-ins. They're doing outdoor stuff. What about being packed in a rock club, watching a rock band with sweat and spit and people making out and cocaine on the toilet bowl? You know, what about all that stuff? Well, no more cocaine on the toilet bowl. But you know what I mean? What are we going to do? It's over. It's over.
It's a tough question you asked, Steve. Like, it's how do you gather that many people in one small space? Like, even when we're sitting in here, like we've talked about after the show, like we started locking the doors because we really don't want people walking in.
It gets too crowded in here
gets too-
sometimes, and I
right.
get freaky. Right now, we're social distancing, and we're okay,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Although some of Herb's spit came flying over here. I'm just kidding, Herb. Dude. I'm
But
just
I mean,
kidding.
I think of everything that I've heard, I love what Baby Loves Tacos actually did when they had the show, you know, when they
On their
invited bands to play on their, you know, porch,
Wow,
essentially.
Zach's going to love you for that.
Well, and it kind of reminded me of Porch Fest. That's how Somerville Porch Fest started a few years ago, and I really like that. And I enjoyed Somerville Porch Fest. I hope that still continues. Like, can we still party in the middle of the street? Can we do that? If we wear masks? I mean, if we're out there, you know, not rioting, but I can't find the right word right now.
Right, protesting.
Protesting. Thank you. If we're out there protesting and we're in close quarters that way, could we be outdoors and could we be? I mean, this is New England, so we only have a few months of this, but you know.
See, I feel bad for the younger people because I've gone to I just listed about 100
right, like we
clubs
missed that
I used to go to. I toured with bands. I did all of it. I did it all. I don't really I wasn't even really going to a lot of shows anymore. I went and saw The Liars, I think, right before the pandemic at Once Ballroom, But, I'm not,
cool.
I haven't really been doing it, but the young people I already think that clubs were already in trouble before the pandemic,
Yeah, I agree.
and enough people weren't going. But I think there were people going.
Yeah.
Herb does sound at a club. People that I know still work in the business. They're like, I still know booking agents. I don't know what they're doing right now, but Pittsburgh is. I spent 5 years there, and I saw them lose the 31st Street Pub, and then I just saw a picture of Bloomfield, and Howler's sign was gone. So I'm like, I asked my friend John Sandy at Baby Loves Tacos, where's Howler's? Oh, they closed, man. They're gone. So another good punk rock bar gone.
The sad part of all of this is, we can still listen to the music. Like, because everything has gone online, like there's so many lectures and so many things that I do like online now. Facebook Live.
I did watch a lot of bands during the pandemic I loved it because you never knew who was going to be on the internet. And that was cool. But I'm talking about, rubbing shoulders, man.
And that's when,
making out with some chick that you just met,
That's what
You've
we're
done
gonna
that, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Haven't we all? Like, we've all done that. I think what we're going to be missing is, the interaction. Like one of the first things that I wanted to do as soon as we were able to get out was go meet other artists and go talk to other artists to be creative together. And I think that's what's going to be missing.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that I was able to come in here and it was safe enough to come in here.
What about the art gallery right outside our door? For people that don't know that are listening, we have an art gallery out there. I have art on the wall out there. Diya had art out there.
Yeah.
Herb's got art all over the place. We can't even have a party here.
We can't even have a party here anymore. And
there was music at those parties too.
One of my jobs right before this was installing art in different locations, and that's a job I don't have anymore. And it's like, okay, I have to sort of reinvent myself all over again. So I think we're all the thing is we're all in the same boat, and we're having conversations, and maybe we'll be able to come up as we keep doing it. We'll be able to come up with something interesting.
It's frustrating, man.
It is.
It's just
somebody built something that we can work online together, like creative people, somebody who knows how to do this, please, creative people out there.
And I'm not going to blame this all on the pandemic because clubs were closing at a rapid pace before the pandemic.
I'm agreeing.
People were losing interest in going to live shows. Younger people like to rave it up and all that. They like DJs. Personally, no offense against any DJs out there, I don't need to go stand in a room and dance around to a DJ. I want to see a bass guitar. I want to see drums. I want to hear guitars. I want to hear a loud rock band, Yeah. I don't need to just sit there and listen to music. I can do that in my house. I can do that naked in my house. Please don't try and visualize that.
Too late.
But okay. All right, we're gonna
human. I can't help myself.
Do you have anything else you want to say about this? Because I think we brought out Herb's anger, which is good, and we brought mine out. I said a couple of things I don't even know why I said, but I did. But we're all pissed off, basically.
We're all pissed off. We're all pissed off, and we're feeling isolated. And so now it's a question of, okay, how do we get back? Steev, I'm really sorry. I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that feeling of being in a sweaty bar. Not in the near future, anyway. And it's really sad that even my generation, I'm a transplant though, and so I never got to experience any of these things. And I've
well, when you went to the Cantab to party, that place was probably crowded and people were acting like nuts, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
But I was also completely drunk because I'd been drinking tequila all day.
I've never seen you drunk. That must be an interesting situation.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm entertaining. Yeah, but I feel like that thing has passed where we go to clubs and where we even clubbing. I liked dancing, like you were talking about, raves and whatnot. I don't mind that. I enjoy moving.
I'm sure you do. And, like I said, I don't want to upset anyone by saying that. It's just not my cup of tea, Like
all Asia, the music was great and it was all DJ'd, right?
It was.
Yeah, and it was great music and it was a different beat that you would get in a very white town, actually. Boston's a very white city in general. So it was kind of nice to have a space to do that. And learn about music.
This
also.
podcast room right now is the least whitest place in Boston. Actually,
Maybe.
we got a Puerto Rican, an Indian, and an Italian over here. I mean,
There you go. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
There's some other things that we need to talk about, some important things. You know,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry we brought everyone down, but I did
Sorry.
get 3. I love when people send me emails and ask me questions and stuff. And we're a couple shows ahead right now, so some of these go back to an older shows, you know, so just understand that. But I did get 3 interesting questions. The first one was, are you ready? Herb sounds really cute. When do we get to see him on the YouTube channel?
Ooh. Ooh.
Well, you could catch me on Antisocial Conditioning, also on YouTube, but my face will probably not show up anytime soon.
I can't believe someone wrote me that and asked me that question.
You know, I think
it was one of my sister's friends or something. I was like, oh, you think Herb sounds cute, huh?
Herb is cute for
He
listeners.
is. He's a hunk. He's a hunk.
He is.
Wow, my confidence is it's just got a boost today. This is great.
Hey, I told you, Herb. You know,
I also have to tell you this, Steve. I saw Herb with his shirt off.
what?
And yeah, I did. And
Did you see him with anything else off besides his shirt?
that's between Herb and I.
Whoa!
That's- yeah.
Hey, what did I tell you? Didn't you sign an agreement that you can't fool
I
around
haven't
with anyone on the
signed
staff?
a damn thing yet. So,
Oh,
if you want to
Jesus.
do that, Steve, we got to do that.
Okay, I'm taking my shirt off of the camera right now. I'm not doing that.
Do
I'm
it,
just
do
kidding. No. Herb would love it, but I'm not doing that.
But I see why he was saying what he was saying. Herb's got some curves.
Curves?
In all the right places.
Herb's got some
gotta say.
curves.
In all the right places. Ladies, you
Beer
get
gut.
what I'm saying.
You know that beer gut. Yeah.
It's not the beer gut at all. It's he's in shape. He is in shape.
Wow. Okay. I hope you
Just
got
saying.
your answer to the question, listener. You know, I mean, Dia's giving you a perfect description right now. She's seen the guy naked, okay?
Nope,
So, I
just
mean,
with the
it's
shirt
like,
off.
Close enough. Okay, believe it or not, I got 2 other
just
questions. I should have prepped myself with how to answer this next question, but I didn't. So I'm going to ad lib on this. Who has been your favorite artist to work with after all these years? Oh my God, that is such a loaded question. We're not talking about artists. We're talking. Herb's pointing
pointing
to
at me.
Tia. I think they were talking about musicians. Herb.
Yeah. They were talking about musicians, and I know very little. I remember so little.
I don't think I can answer that question without offending any of one or more of the bands that I managed. But maybe I'll just say we'll go back to bands that I worked with when I was at record companies, and I'll answer it that way. I'd have to say, well, the one I worked with the most was the Neighborhoods, because I worked with them at 3 different labels. And we always had fun, even though some of the things didn't always end up good. But I'm thinking about my whole career, and I actually think Dag Nasty, even though I only did 1 album and 1 EP with them, I'm still close friends with Peter Kortner, the singer, and Doug Carrion, the bass player that were in the band at that time. And then Dave Smalley, who was also a singer of Dag Nasty, and I have been friends for a long time. And I'm sure if Brian Baker ever saw each other, we would say hi and hug it out. Although I haven't hugged anyone in so long, man. Oh, my God, I need a hug. I'm a hugger, you know, and this
You need
thing
a hug.
is really like, come on. And, you know, you always have to do this. You always have to bring up your cat, Steve. My cats aren't even around the hug anymore. They've left us.
Oh, Steve, you need a new pet.
So I'm going to say,
Anyone
Dag.
have pets?
What's that?
Anyone have a pet for
No,
Steve?
I'm waiting to see if I'm going to relocate from Worcester before I get another cat. But I am thinking about getting another cat. There are a lot of cats that need to be rescued.
That's
so
true.
I'm feeding stray cats right now on the streets of Worcester.
That's
so
awesome.
so they know me. So I'll just say Dag Nasty. And you know, I also loved working with the Outlets, the Neighborhoods. Poison was fun to work with. Ronnie Montrose, Verbal Assault, great guys. Government Issue. I see what I mean? The Great Cat I even enjoyed working with. No one else liked the Great Cat except for me. I loved her. We had a great relationship. Where else did I work? Oh, A&M. Jacko Pierce, had a great relationship with them. Pa, Dave Windorf from Monster Magnet, really good guy. Patty Griffin. I love Patty. I love Patty Griffin. She's one of my all-time favorites. The one day I spent with Suzanne Vega was very memorable. Sheryl Crow was always nice. Amy Grant put her arm around me. I mean, I loved working with everybody. How's that? The question should have been, who's your least favorite person, band you ever worked with? Maybe I'll get that question next time. Was there another? Oh, yes, there is another question. This is a good one. Herb will probably get back on the mic for this. Have you had any luck on the dating app, or should I get Diya to push you? I have a feeling I know who sent that when it came in anonymously, but I think I know who sent that. I've yet to go on a date. I've yet to even email anyone. I've yet to take my shirt off, and I did change the settings.
What do you mean?
To 35. I went down.
Do you see my eyes rolling in the back of my head? Do you see them?
So, do we need to get you to push, Steev?
Do we need to get you to push, Steve? I need to look at your profile. I think we need to do this. Like, this
go
needs
on
to
Bumble.
be a whole session.
What do you mean? Go on Bumble and look for me.
What, you want me to
My
find you
profile's
now?
up
We're going to
there.
go that way now?
If
No.
you want to date me, go on Bumble and find me. And that goes to all the ladies out there, because I can only imagine how many ladies out there want to date me. It's probably a
Come
very
on, ladies,
long list.
help him out here.
Help me out, ladies.
He's a cute man. He's the nicest man, too.
Oh, hey. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he
Herb,
isn't-
would you like to add anything to that question, the dating app question? I mean, it's like, do you have anything to say?
Thong picture.
No way. A thong picture.
You're
Okay,
gonna
if I
love
saw
it.
some women in thong pictures on Bumble, that
Well,
might wake
then-
me up a little.
Well,
I mean, I just...
Are we going to have a misogyny conversation?
Uh-oh.
Yes? Well, first of all, you've gone to
He brought up the thong. I didn't even bring it up.
But he asked you to wear it. He wasn't being misogynist about it.
Okay,
You're like, I'll watch the ladies in it, but I
would
won't be in it
rather
myself.
see a
Like, what is
woman-
that?
I would rather see a woman in a thong than a guy.
Well,
what is
you
wrong
know,
with
a
that?
woman has to work on that, on her derriere, to be able to wear a thong publicly like that. So
Derriere.
why don't, you can do the same.
I like derriere. That's a great... It's better than buttocks. It's better than ass. It's better than butt. It's better than fanny. Derriere.
It just came out today. So,
Derriere.
Yeah, derriere. I'm talking publicly. I have to watch what I'm saying, too. And I'm like, trying to find better words
I think
for
we've
it.
already gone overboard a little today with
Today?
language and everything, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
all
really
over the
matter.
place, just a
Although
little.
I've been listening to other podcasts on Spotify and other places, and they're using the bad word, so why can't we? So you think about that. There is one thing I want to say about the dating app thing that I didn't mention before. You mentioned Baby Loves Tacos. And I never mentioned this, but Zach and Kat, the husband and wife owners of Baby Loves Tacos, met on a dating site.
No way.
And they're still married. And they got
That's
a great
awesome.
son, Kaz.
That's
So it
awesome.
does work for some people.
It does. It all depends on what you're looking for.
Well, I don't know what I'm looking for. But
Youngin, apparently.
I think Diya has a few words for us now. It's all yours, Diya.
Thank you for our sponsorship today, JLS Designs. Our sponsors, I'm going to do that again. Our sponsors for today's show is JLS Design. JLS Design does custom screen printing and embroidery, and it's a great place to get T-shirts, hats, hoodies, masks, etc. In fact, they've made our Blowing Smoke and Twisted Rico T-shirts and masks. Sorry, don't have a T-shirt on today, which are both very popular indeed. In fact, Steve keeps selling them out, so might need to order some more.
I keep giving them away. Is that what you said? Yeah, I'm pretty bad at selling them. I
You
haven't
need to
done a good job.
You need to try and sell these, Steve. JLS Designs, designprinting.com is their website. jlsdesignsales@gmail.com is their email address. If you contact JLS and tell them Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico sent you, you will get a 10% discount.
It's true.
So for sure. Check it out if you have any projects going on that you'd like printed.
Merch. They do any kind of merch, really.
That's awesome.
Dave is a Dave Spaz, we talk about him a lot. He's also the bass player in The Liars and Little Big Wheel. And he's working on a project with Gina Phillips. Hi, Gina. Shout out to Gina Phillips. She's out there on Martha's Vineyard right now. She's working out there, but she recorded a bunch of songs with Dave Minahan over at Woolly Mammoth and Dave Spaz and the band. And from what I understand, they're going to release singles. They're going to do a bunch of single releases. So that's something to look forward to. Thank you for reading for me.
I'll try and be better about it next time.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you. But because you asked me to read it and in a typical, I guess just the setup of it, I brought myself a painting so that I could frame my face while I read you the ad. Didn't do that very well. I'll try that again.
Should we start the whole segment over again?
No.
So we can get you framed in?
No.
I'll tell you.
We'll just do it another time.
I think
I got your mask in, though.
I'm really worried that having Diya on the show is going to destroy our listening audience, and everyone's going to be on YouTube from now on. Everyone's going to want to see Diya and her art. And maybe one day there'll be a camera pointing at Herb, and then, you guys won't need me anymore. I'll be the one without the camera, and I'll be hiding in the corner.
Steve, you're the one with the stories, and you're the anchor of the show.
Anchor. We are on Anchor also, by the way, if you're out there listening. Good segue. Along with Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast. Thank you for plugging Anchor. That was very good. All right. Well, this has been fun. Before leaving, we want to thank our engineer, Dorchester's own Herb Marsiglio. Ow! Who, that's not all we hear from him now. We get to hear a lot more, including a great barrage of anger, which I really enjoyed. I also want to thank all our patrons whose monthly contributions keep the Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico podcast going. Ready? Kevin, Ellie, Maria, Chris W., Heather, Sue, 2K, Matt, Chris P., Dave, Maria, Brian, Benjamin, Lee, Chad, Christopher, Kim, and we got a new addition to the list, Tim. So, boy, it makes me happy that all those people are going on patreon.com/Twisted Rico, where for only $1, one stinking little dollar a month, that's $12 a year, you can support this podcast. Wound up today, baby. Wound up. Please contact me at twistedrico@gmail.com, and you might get one of your great questions on our show. Like, we had some great ones today. I'd like to get more of those. Follow us on Instagram at Twisted Rico, on Twitter at Blowing Smoke BS, and there's also Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico Facebook page, and of course you can see Diya on the YouTube channel as well. You can see me too, but you want to see Diya.
And Steve.
This is Blowing Smoke with Twisted Rico. I'm your host, Steve Ricardo. Until the next time we say goodbye, keep the rock and roll alive, and who do we love? Busy Phillips.